Hey everybody, this is Dust for Dust Gaming. I'm doing a little bit of some pre-recorded matches, well, doing some pre-played matches, I should say. This is for our October Burn Challenge, which is going to bleed into November. Take a couple days away from Modern, really. Got a little bit burnt out over the weekend between playing a bunch of, doing some prep for a PPTQ, then I decided not to end up going, and having kind of a beat-up weekend on stream with Burn and Jeskai both. So it took a couple days. I played one match here, one match there. The two matches I'm going to show today, first match was against UR Kiki, and the second match was against Infect. We'll kind of go over the games quick, sideboarding, just a couple quick hits. I planned on streaming tonight, but ended up, some stuff came up, so I didn't have time. So here we go. Here's the replays. So this one is UR Kiki. Interesting matchup. Come on. There we go. This hand is one of those trap hands. Obviously you have a play on one with either Rift Bolt, Lightning Bolt, and then you have Eidolon onto you. Like I said, Burn's best hands generally have a one drop, but this is obviously a keep with 2 lands and 5 spells, but this is definitely a hand that can get you in trouble in certain matchups. Opponent plays Mountain and passes. Have no idea what it could be personally, so just suspend Rift Bolt. Opponent then plays Sulfur Falls, so I'm still kind of not operating on exactly what deck I'm up against right now. Have to go get Sacred Foundry here because this is only our second land. Opponent goes ahead and remands our Eidolon. Could still be Storm at this point. So not 100% sure. Play Goblin Guide out. We see a Pestermite, so that kind of gives up the ghost on what our opponent's up to. Pretty much only one deck plays that, and that is UR Kiki. Third land there. Probably should have actually played Eidolon. But the fear at this point is, once our opponent hits this many land drops, is they can go Pestermite and to kill us. So I accidentally let this get tapped because I didn't see what land they were going to tap. I should have, Boros Charmed or something here in response. That's definitely a mistake that comes back to bite us a little bit later on. Boros Charm resolves. Play another Goblin Guide here. Goes ahead and bolts our guy. Play a Deceiver Exarch. Tap a land down. Go for the beatdown plans. Continues to play Opt here. Continue the beatdown plans. Go ahead and do that. Get them to 4 here. Opponent does Cryptic Command. Use Serum Visions. Play Kiki. We have to Helix that, putting them to 1. Then we get into a weird sub-game here. Eidolons, they have their... They activate Desolate Lighthouse. And we just kind of spend a bunch of turns with them going through Desolate Lighthouses. Casting Swift Spear here, I think, was a mistake. Guess in the end it didn't technically matter. So we're in a weird spot now. Now that I cast that spell, we can only cast one more spell the rest of the game, and we can't crack our fetch land. So our Searing Blaze is kind of a mess. Our opponent just continues to play a bunch of stuff. We can't play anything. They keep looting. And then basically just keep looting until they find Kiki. Meanwhile, we can't play any, or I guess they play Jace and then they play Kiki and kill us because we can't respond. Because otherwise we can't, our Skullcrack only puts them to 1. We can't fetch for land for Searing Blaze to kill Kiki, so then we're just dead. So, not the best game. Sometimes you can get locked out under your own Eidolons in weird situations like that. So, something to keep in mind when you're doing the Eidolon math. On to game number 2 in the match. So, sideboarding, I brought in 2 Path to Exile and 2 Exquisitive Firecraft, and went down 4 Skullcracks because their deck doesn't usually have any life gain. And if there is, it's usually in the form of Dragon's Claw. This hand's decent in the matchup. It's not fantastic. Once again, we don't have any 1-drop to really pressure them, but obviously it's a keep. Plays their stuff. We just pass. They crack. We Boros charm them here. Play Goblin Guide here. Go ahead and go to attacks. Opponent bolts it. So, in a match like this, where there's a decent chance your opponent has Blood Moon in their deck, even though it's not the greatest card against burn, but people will have it. You'll want to prioritize getting your white spells out of your hand when you can resolve spells, just to avoid clustering on white spells you can't cast at a later point since it didn't bring in Wear Tear. Beyond that, not a whole lot else going on with this game. Opponent goes to Serum Visions. They're pretty clearly looking for something here. Do the Snapcaster thing. We do the Bolt their Snapcaster. Continue to use our resources. Pretty clearly, they were looking for an island. Maybe should have used bolts to get more damage in there, but I do want to hold interaction for them having the combo. They Blood Moon us here. We fetch a Sacred Foundry just to get a land out of our deck. Continue to pressure them here. I bolted them to kind of close down the clock because they can't necessarily combo us here. Opponent shows Anger of the Gods. They bolt something. We put them to 3. We play Lava Spike, and they don't have an answer. But them showing us Blood Moon was kind of important. It does affect our sideboarding for game number 3. Game number 3, we end up sideboarding not drastically different, but we pretty much got all the white cards out of our deck other than a couple Path to Exile. See, all of our Boros Charms and Lightning Helixes are now on our sideboard. The only white cards in my deck are 2 copies of Path to Exile, so I can hit Deceiver Exarch without having to double spell pretty much. It's the only reason I have Pass in my deck. This hand's obviously pretty good. I mean, they showed us Anger of the Gods, but we can go Swift Spear into Swift Spear plus Rift Bolt, and then Skull Crack, so that puts them on a pretty quick clock. They Serum Visions, so we know we have kind of free reign to attack them. Once again, we play this. So I might have missed some damage by not casting Lightning Bolt here. But there's no guarantee our opponent doesn't have like a negate or something here, so I just pass, suspend the Rift Bolt. If my opponent has Anger of the Gods, which I don't here, go ahead and play a Lava Spike. They negate, so we know we're pretty free reign to deal them a lot of damage. They're not showing the risk of comboing them. I only got the Sacred Foundry, first off because we have this mountain in our hands, second off because they got us with a Spell Snare there, but our Swift Spears are dealing them a ton of damage this turn, so just passes here. They play Jace. I wait to play Bolt to get triggers off the Swift Spear. Here I actually Searing Blaze my own Swift Spear to get the Prowess triggers, and then we still have a Bolt left over in case they had like a Dispel or a Spell Snare there. So, pretty reasonable matchup, though we did get a little bit goofed up by those lockups with the Eidolons in Game 1. So, just a couple tips for those style of matchups. I'm going to go to the very end replay here. Match I just played a little bit ago. We were up against Infect, which I always used to think Infect was a really difficult match for Burn, but maybe with Gataxian Probe not being around and the deck being a little bit slower, and with a properly built Burn deck and understanding the matchups seem pretty reasonable in the few times that I've played against Infect. Opponent goes with their Noble Hierarch. We have no way to interact with a creature on one, so we go ahead and get in with Goblin Guide. Opponent has to tap out for their Bladed Agent. We just go ahead and Searing Blaze it, get in for some damage. Opponent plays a Spellskite, plays a thing. We go ahead and attack. They do the predictable thing, they block. We kill it with fire, put them to 7. So our opponent has to try to kill us with traditional damage here. Going to attack here, they block. Getting rid of their only source of blue mana here, so we don't have to play around Spell Pierce, which I think they showed. Yeah, they showed off of like the last trigger. And we go ahead and Skull Crack them. So a lot of the decks have moved away from a lot of the Infect decks have moved away from the Kitchen Finks plan they used to have to an Invisible Stalker plan. So kind of changes the way we sideboard a little bit. I took out the Skull Cracks and the Boros Charms, brought in the 4-path, the 2 Grim Lavamancer, and the 2 Searing Bloods. Just everything we have to interact with small creatures. This hand's almost perfect. You have Searing Blaze, Grim Lavamancer, Bolt, and Swift Spear, so we can leverage our spells. Plus we have plenty of ways to control our opponent's creatures. Whenever you have the chance, just kill and infect creatures. Don't get cute. Don't. And also minimize the damage you take, because they can sometimes kill through normal damage. It's not unheard of for Infect to kill through normal damage. Gonna get a Swift Spear here. Gonna attacks. Just hold up our interaction. Let them declare their attacks, do whatever. Play a Blighted Agent. Go ahead and kill their Infect creatures here, which are kind of the biggest threats. Especially the Invisible Stalk, or the Blighted Agent itself. Just fetch, get a tap shock land here, since we have so many lands. Go ahead and kill the Glistener Elf. They float a mana for no apparent reason. Put them to 7 here. They go on the Dryad Arbor beatdown plan. We draw a path. Go ahead and kill their creatures here. I mean, Noble Hierarch's somewhat a threat, but they have to have very specific cards to kill us with it. They play a Glistener Elf. Go ahead and shoot them at end of turn. And crack our 2 fetch lands, and then Lavamancer them down. So it's pretty much we're started too far so far in this league. Having a pretty reasonable time of things, but obviously, after the 1-4 thing last time, I'm kind of taking it a little bit slower now. I'm not going full bore on Burn right now, but I know a lot of you guys are out there wanting to see some Burn matches, so that was a quick and dirty version of some Burn matches versus Blue-Red Kiki and Infect. So, this has been Dusk for Dustin on Gaming. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you like what we're doing, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you have any useful comments or critiques on the play, please feel free to leave it in the comments. This has been Dusk for Dustin on Gaming. Everybody have a great night.